They said we'd never go back, that the moon was just a chapter in history, that after Apollo, it was over. But they were wrong. NASA is not just going back to the moon, it's building a city there. Yes, a real functioning human base by the year 2040, where astronauts will live, work, farm, and maybe never return. Sounds like science fiction? Well, it's already happening. Chapter 1. The Dream That Refused to Die. In 1972, Apollo 17 left the lunar surface, and with it ended humanity's last visit to the moon. Since then, for over 5 decades, the lunar surface has been silent, but behind closed doors, NASA never stopped dreaming. The dream of a permanent human presence on the moon never died. It simply waited for better technology, waited for political will, waited for a reason to go back. And now, that time has come. Chapter 2. From Apollo to Artemis. NASA's new moon program is called Artemis, named after the twin sister of Apollo. But Artemis isn't just about planting flags, it's about building infrastructure, something Apollo never attempted. Under Artemis, NASA will land the first woman and the first person of color on the moon. They'll return to the South Pole, not the equator like before, and instead of a one-time visit, they'll set up the first permanent lunar base. Chapter 3. NASA's 2040 Vision. By 2040, NASA wants to establish a sustainable lunar presence. Not just short missions or temporary bases, but humans living and working long-term on the moon. Not just a small base, but a functioning outpost with lunar homes, specially designed habitats that can withstand extreme temperatures, radiation, and meteorite impacts. These homes might be built using the lunar soil, 3D printed on site by robots, and buried underground for protection. Solar farms, giant arrays of solar panels will capture sunlight and provide power for everything: homes, labs, vehicles, and life support systems. Since there's no atmosphere, solar energy on the moon is strong and constant for nearly 14 Earth days. Science labs, equipped to study everything from moon geology to deep space biology. These labs will help test technologies for Mars missions and beyond, and may even study how humans adapt to low gravity over months or years. Robotic construction systems. Before astronauts even arrive, robots will be hard at work. They'll build shelters, prepare landing zones, and lay power cables, all autonomously using AI and lunar resources. It's like sending a robotic construction crew in advance. NASA's vision is bold. A future where the moon becomes a launch pad for Mars, a testbed for deep space, and maybe one day, a tourist destination. This isn't guesswork. NASA released actual blueprints and timelines, and it's already started. Chapter 4. Building materials from moon dust. One of the biggest challenges, you can't take enough materials from Earth, it's too expensive. So, NASA has a plan. Build using what's already there, the regolith or lunar dust. Using 3D printing, NASA and partners like ICON are developing machines that can scoop up lunar soil melt or bind it, using lasers or microwaves, and layer by layer, build walls, domes, and entire habitats. This process is called In Situ Resource Utilization, ISRU, and it's a game changer. Instead of bringing bricks to the moon, you make bricks on the moon. Chapter 5. Life support and lunar water. What about air, water, and food? NASA has already discovered something critical. There's frozen water ice near the moon's south pole. Hidden inside shadowed craters, this ice could be melted for drinking water, split into oxygen and hydrogen for breathing and rocket fuel. As for food, NASA is developing hydroponic systems, plants grown in nutrient water without soil, to feed astronauts inside sealed domes. One day, astronauts might eat lunar lettuce, grown entirely off Earth. Chapter 6. Powering a moon city. Without power, nothing works. But the moon has no atmosphere. One half is in sunlight for 14 days. The other half is in total darkness. Solar farms will cover the sunlit zones, charging massive batteries during lunar day. But for long-term sustainability, NASA is also developing mini nuclear reactors, known as fission surface power. Unlike solar, these work anywhere, anytime. The goal? To create a self-powered city completely off the grid. Chapter 7. How will people live there? Life on the moon will be strange at first. Astronauts will live in inflatable habitats buried under lunar soil to block radiation. They'll wear spacesuits outside, even just to take a walk. But inside, they'll have sleeping pods, workstations, exercise bikes, communication systems to talk to Earth with just a 1.3-second delay. NASA is even testing robotic assistants, VR environments, and mental health protocols. Because space is not just a physical challenge, it's emotional. Chapter 8. Global Cooperation or Space Race 2.0. NASA isn't the only one heading for the moon. China plans to build a lunar research station by 2035. Russia, India, and ESA Europe are all developing lunar missions, and companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Astrobotic are offering delivery services to the lunar surface. So, will this be international cooperation or a new space race? Only time will tell. But one thing's clear. The moon is about to get very crowded. Chapter 9. The Dangers of the Moon. Living on the moon sounds exciting, but it's also dangerous. Here's what future lunar residents will face. No atmosphere, no air, no weather, no protection, radiation, constant exposure from solar flares and cosmic rays, micrometeorites, tiny space bullets hitting at 50,000 kilometers per hour, lunar dust, sharp, sticky, and harmful to lungs, extreme temperature swings, from plus 120 degrees Celsius to minus 170 degrees Celsius. NASA's engineers are designing systems to survive all this, but the danger is always present. Chapter 10. Can this really happen by 2040? Let's be real. Building a city on the moon is insanely ambitious. It requires advanced robotics. Robots will be the first settlers on the moon. Before a single human sets foot to live there, NASA will deploy autonomous robotic systems that can handle the harsh lunar environment. These robots will be responsible for everything from building habitats and laying down power grids to mining lunar soil for raw materials. Think of robotic 3D printers that can construct buildings using moon dust, or robotic rovers that can dig underground shelters to protect future astronauts from radiation. These machines will work continuously, preparing the surface for human arrival, without risking lives in the early phases. Massive funding. Projects like this could cost tens of billions of dollars, maybe more. It's not just about building rockets, but also about long-term sustainability. International cooperation. NASA isn't going at this alone. Agencies from Europe, Japan, and even private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin are working together to make lunar living a reality. It's a global mission. It also requires technologies we're still testing. From nuclear-powered generators to radiation shielding, many of the systems needed for lunar life are still in prototype phase. But is it possible? Yes, because we've done the hard part before. We landed on the moon in 1969. We built the ISS in Earth orbit. We now have SpaceX rockets landing themselves. If the timeline holds and if funding stays strong, by 2040, humanity could be living off Earth permanently. Final thoughts, the next giant leap. The moon is no longer a mystery, it's our next address, a place where children may be born. One day, farms might grow in craters, cities might light up the darkness. NASA isn't just planning missions, it's planning civilization, and maybe, just maybe, when people look up at the moon in 2040, they won't just see a glowing light, they'll see home.